Hello, can you hear me? Hello and welcome to Can You Hear Me, a podcast giving voice to the diverse talent working to improve health and care for people in West Yorkshire and Harrogate, presented by the West Yorkshire and Harrogate Health and Care Partnerships Race Equality Network. My name's Sayma Mirza. I'm the Associate Director for System and Leadership Development at West Yorkshire and Harrogate's Health and Care Partnership and a member of the Partnership's Race Equality Network. I am also on the Partnership's Fellowship Programme, a leadership development programme focused on ethnic minorities, which was launched in 2020. I've been joined by Fellows Sasha, John and Ash to talk about the fellowship and the impact it's had on us and what people can expect from joining the fellowship programme. I'd like to invite my guests to introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Ash Alon, currently working as Senior Head of Strategy, Change and Delivery at Bradford District and Craven Clinical Commissioning Group. I've had the real fortunate privilege and opportunity to, over the last few months, work as Associate Director for the West Yorkshire and Harrogate Unpaid Carers Programme as one of my placements on this fellowship programme. And going forward, I'm really looking forward to working as the programme lead for population health management for Yorkshire and Humber Academic Health Science Network.
Hi everyone, my name is Sasha Batt and I'm the Head of Mental Wellbeing for Bradford and Craven Council and for the Clinical Commissioning Group in that area. And as part of the fellowship, I'm the Associate Director for our mental health programmes. John, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Sasha. I am the Head of Service at Leeds City Council for City Centre Management, and on the fellowship, I'm the Acting Assistant Director for Improving Population Health within the FAB Population Health team.
Fantastic, and it's great to have you join us together to just share our experiences so that we can help inspire others as we talk about our journeys. So let's kick off with, tell us about the fellowship programme. Why is it needed? How did it come about? And what support has been required to make it a success? Sasha, kick us off.
Okay, so I guess there's a long history to why it's been so important to have the fellowship. And for me personally, that journey probably started with the delivering race equality agenda that kickstarted in 2005 following the David Bennett case, which really highlighted within mental health services the lack of representation within staffing. It was one of the key objectives of that programme to really think about the representation and think about the structure of services and how they reflect communities. And that work led to some really insightful work that all PCTs at the time, primary care trusts at the time, had to complete to share what their representation looked like in terms of Black and Asian minority communities and staff members. And then probably a few years after that, the work race equality standards also came in, and together those both painted a real picture, which the work that Roger Klein did around the Snowy Peak Mountains of the NHS all really painted a picture of how poorly represented people from Black, Asian and minority ethnic communities were within the NHS, particularly at the decision making and the strategic senior positions. So whereas overall within the NHS, and it's probably similar within council public sector services, there's a much larger representation of and much more equal representation that reflects communities within entry-level posts. That really reduces dramatically as you move up through the organisational structures, and I think it's understanding the reasons, the barriers. I can reflect on my own experience in terms of that, but more recently, I've looked at some of the applications that some of our local members of staff who are applying for the next round of the fellowship have completed, and you really see starkly what their journey of and their barriers have been in that journey to stay and be resilient and to persevere to try and have a senior career within services. And so I think this fellowship has come at a time when that work really needs to come to a head. And within our West Yorkshire Harrogate partnership, we've got some real ambitions about how we eliminate and reduce health inequalities. And a key aspect of that is having the right workforce to do that.
Absolutely spot on, Sasha. And it's under that national context, the work that we're taking forward as a region across West Yorkshire and Harrogate to really start closing some of those gaps, isn't it? John, if I could bring you in, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, thanks, Emma. I think picking up where Sasha left off around the ICS in itself and how this program was kind of conceived. I think from my personal reflection, when we came to the program, we all sort of went off and read the 175-page 5-year plan. I'm sure we all read it. That was the first thing we had to do. And I was sort of flicking through and came across our 10 big ambitions, as Sasha mentioned. And right there in front of you was this kind of, I suppose, commitment to this issue. We will have a more diverse leadership that better reflects the broad range of talent within West Yorkshire and Harrogate. And then it goes on further to assert the fact that actually the poor experiences of sort of non-white colleagues will become a thing of the past. And that's a bold statement to make. So that kind of intrigued me. I suppose that was my sort of my first introduction to the program. And that told me, I suppose, a number of things. In the first place, there's real kind of senior recognition of this issue. Secondly, we're saying very clearly it is of strategic importance because it is one of our 10 big ambitions. We're not hiding it. We're not shying away from the issue. We recognize it's a priority, and we're going to be resolution focused by having a program in place that deals with the fact that we want diverse leadership, diversity of thought leadership across the ICS. So my embracing of the program was based probably around that. Now, obviously, that's all words. It's in paper and it reads well. And I suppose what we'll go on to talk about is our lived experience having joined the program, whether this is actually as it sets out in our 5-year plan.
John, I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head there, because it is bold, isn't it? This ambition to close the gaps. And as you say, we'll talk more about it as we progress through this conversation, but they can be just words on a piece of paper, can't they? But what we're seeing in West Yorkshire and Harrogate is some of that really coming to life. So it is bold, and it's taken a lot of commitment from us, senior leaders, to really bring this to life.
Ash, do you have anything to add?
Making diversity a reality in health and care system is the absolute imperative. We know the evidence around it. And I think the West Yorkshire and Harrogate Fellowship Programme is just an amazing example of moving rhetoric to reality on this subject. Absolutely. Credit to the fantastic value-based leadership of all our system leaders across West Yorkshire and Harrogate, but at local place level. I mean, it's taken a great degree of ambition and boldness to really conceptualize and deliver on this unique and quite innovative program. And naturally, it won't have been without its challenges, and credit to those leaders who have really kind of pushed this and put their head above the parapet, so to speak, and really do their bit to ensure that there is a practical solution-based approach that hopefully will see tangible positive change as a result of. And personally, I'm grateful for my own organisation, Bradford District and Craven Clinical Commissioning Group, for our senior leadership and managerial support in enabling people like myself and other fellows. There's 3 of us from our organisation in this cohort, and certainly in the next cohort there'll be a fair few more. But I think it's a testament of our organisation and all our collective ambition to really move on this agenda and to really help break through some of those barriers and overcome the challenges to make sure that our leadership as a health and care system at place level, at system level, and at all levels is truly reflective of the communities and the populations we serve.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
Can You Hear Me? The podcast from the West Yorkshire and Harrogate Health and Care Partnership.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, so let's get into the detail of the programmes of fellows that have been on this programme for almost a year. What impact has the programme had on you and your development, and what opportunities have come your way as a result of being on the programme? Sasha, let's come to you.
So I think the first thing that the programme probably really has done for me is actually bring to my conscious level who I am as a leader and my place as a leader, and I think sometimes reflecting on the challenges that I've had and embracing them as real key strengths to my bow, that actually I've overcome them, and really having that space to reflect. So that I think there's that consciousness about what leadership is and the role that I have that definitely come into play. The other aspect of what's been really, I think, has been the most beneficial for me has been building a network of people who instantly understand my challenges and push me in a way that probably doesn't happen with other peers, because actually some of my biggest challenges have been from my fellow fellowship members in terms of behaviours and actions and solutions. And I think having that network is so important, where you've got people who will critically challenge and critically support you, because that's important to have. And then I think the third aspect is what the course itself offers is the learning, and what that has done for me is probably validate what I already knew, and has brought to front the skills that we have across our partnership, across our fellowship. Just seeing that amazing talent that's there, and unleashing some of that in terms of our contribution to shadow executive board papers, to conversations with senior leaders, and really bringing that to a forefront and really seeing the impact that can have. I think that's just been great for me to see that in action. But it has been, I think it's been a personal journey, and it's been that peer network and just the importance of those networks, and then some inspiring speakers that we've heard from. And I want to hear a lot more. I think what the fellowship has taught me is to actually be hungry for more and to want more. And sometimes I think what our leadership, our training, our development opportunities offer sometimes maybe probably isn't as broad and diverse that we would want to see. And I think I've definitely started to think about what more could we be offering in terms of leadership and development to our system that really is exciting and innovative, and not the same old type of training and development. John, do you want to add? And John's been a great partner on this. So
one thing we've all said, we've had conversations outside of the program profile, I guess, and we've all kind of come to this view that the one thing that is outstandingly clear for us is that kind of benefit we're getting from just sitting around the virtual room and being amazed at the level of talent and skill and leadership set that we have in the ICS that actually, hitherto before the program, perhaps we weren't aware of. And this is meant to be a blunt conversation, so we'll try and be blunt. I go into a room in my substantive post with senior officers, and I look around the table, and nobody looks like me, nobody sounds like me, nobody talks like me, and I know all around the city centre, our communities, where people do look like me, who experience our services, whether that's health or care, and don't feel as though there is a voice around the table that fully represents all of our communities, whatever your colour. So to come into a space where you're seeing, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 people of senior caliber is in itself, I think, an inspiring moment. And every night when we do that, when we have our fellowship circles, I have that inspiring moment. It's a self-repeating inspiring moment, and I want that to continue. So I think that's the first thing for me, really. On a personal point of view, in terms of impact, I think it's helped me to kind of invigorate my career, to remind me of what I know I can do, not to shy away from that skill set, and to boldly embrace it. And being authentic means I recognize I have that skill set, and I also recognize I have development needs. So I think being on the program, being in that space, is giving the confidence to kind of look at my skill sets anew, if you like. And I also think actually the point Sasha made about authenticity is important, and you get to grow that a bit more on the program. You get to understand who you are, your leadership style, your leadership approach, how you, as we say, impacts on others. I think we've had ample opportunity to kind of learn from that through the shadow board, and I suppose, having that opportunity to be exposed to the same papers, the same strategic discussion that would take place at shadow leadership, so at senior leadership executive, and then voicing our own views as a shadow board is in itself a good experience. So yeah, those are my reflections thus far.
Ash?
So I really want to echo a lot of the things that my fellows have already said. I guess just bringing it from a very personal level, having been in the NHS for nearly a decade now and working in health and care, I've had lots of experience. I've had opportunity to try my hand at lots of different things. I have a lot of paperwork to say how qualified I am. I have a lot of qualifications. I've been on several programs. And what I didn't want to do is go on yet another academic program. And what really excited me about this is that practical experience-based learning opportunity that this program offered. For me, it offers a number of things. And having experienced it over the last few months, the things that have really worked for me is, so first of all, it creates a safe learning environment to have a go in a supportive context. So as I said, I've been working as Associate Director for the Unpaid Carers Programme, and I'll be working in a similarly senior leadership role for the Yorkshire and Humber Academic Health Science Network going forward. That is a great opportunity for me to have a go and be and act in those senior roles, knowing full well that I've got that mentoring and coaching support around me. I've got, I'm not the finished article, and a lot of us aren't. And what we need is a sense of, pushing and a bit of confidence to have a go and to make mistakes, to learn from them, to grow, to develop. I don't see things as failure. I see them as learning opportunities, and everything's a learning opportunity. So the program itself has not only given specific topic-based structural learning opportunities, but in particular, the shadow board element of it has been incredible, because what it's given us, it's almost placed us in that position of being a director and presenting to board in a bit of a setup that is conducive to allowing ourselves to be ourselves, but also to not be too worried if we make a mistake, to get that constructive feedback for our own improvement. Quite often I'm my own biggest self-critic, and in this journey I found that the things that I probably was a bit critical about myself, yes, there may be elements of that aspect I can improve on, but actually there's a lot of positives in that. And when I heard the feedback, it's been really encouraging, really motivating. So alongside that, there's been a number of structured learning opportunities which I've really valued. So specific topic based. So whether it's about culture and power dynamics, whether it's about political acumen, whether it's about specific things around finances. But as you move into that leadership role, these are important components and part of your leadership presence and knowledge that is required. So it was really helpful to have that. having embarked on this journey for as long as I have, I mean, as colleagues have already mentioned, as my fellows have mentioned, it's that peer-to-peer support. You know, we as a group of people now meet informally on a fairly regular basis. We almost provide that peer coaching support, that challenge where it's required, that bit of motivation and push and lift. And I just see the incredible talent of all of us. And I just think I've got so much to learn. We've got so much to learn from each other. Hopefully I've got so much to offer as part of that mix as well. And I can really see the relationship and the friendship that we're forming, that this will go much beyond the program. And how important is networking as part of any one of our leadership development journey? And it's really, this particular program has almost by experience and by practice has definitely made us think more carefully about our networks and how we network and the power of networking and the power of peer support. So really opened up a whole new world of people and organization and places who we may not otherwise have connected in, because we're so busy doing well in our own little areas and our own little places of work. It's broadened our networks, our horizons in that regard, but also it's expanded our thinking. It's introduced us to new and different ways of working and different ways of thinking and doing and approaching things. So, I mean, I guess for me, it's been a great experience. Rightly so, this program has been recognised nationally, and as through the HSJ Awards, and as a participant on this program, I really see why that is absolutely right, and that, you know, it is such a great program. And yes, there are elements of this program that we have fed constructively, given that we're the first cohort. You know, not everything has just gone quite perfectly, but that's not a problem, because it's our program for us to shape and co-design and improve as we move along the journey. And I think as the first tranche of people, we've put in a lot of feedback to try and make it even better than the great program it already is, for people who will come after us on this kind of program. Ultimately, I just think that these kind of steps will make a real difference to ensuring that our leadership and management across our health and care systems and organisations is truly reflective of the population and people we serve.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? A podcast from the West Yorkshire and Harrogate Health and Care Partnership.
Hello, can you hear me?
There's something so powerful about coming together with people that share similar experiences to you and feeling that sense of belonging, isn't there? And knowing that you can share your vulnerabilities and share your hopes for the future and challenges in the system, and know that that's being accepted and you're really being listened to. So there's something really powerful for me that I've learned by coming together with, you know, yourselves, the other fellows, really creating that opportunity. And, you know, you mentioned it before, John, about the fellowship circle, and, you know, using that as our own personal action learning set to really push and challenge each other and saying, you know, what, how are you using this opportunity that's come your way? So that impact of that personal sort of networking and connection has been really powerful for me. And then also, I think what you were talking about, John, about the personal sort of development opportunities as well that this program's bringing for us. You know, I'm a big believer of what you put in is what you get out. And I've been really trying my best to look at any sort of opportunity that's been coming my way as a result of this program. And I mean, it's been immense, hasn't it? If you actually stop and think about how many things that we've been involved with, the shadow board, the mentors we've got, the coaches that we've got, the system leaders that have come and spoken to us with hotspot interviews, the taught elements of the course, but then obviously the placements, through the placements, the senior sort of level of hands-on experience that we're gaining. You won't get that anywhere else, would you? We know that when we started designing this program, we're often getting the door closed on us. When it's the senior experience, that's where we tend to struggle to progress careers. And this program's helping us to really do some of that. So yeah, fully resonate with sort of your experiences of the program so far as well. We've talked about the program helping and focusing on our personal development. How would you say, how different are you from beginning this course to where you are now? How have you personally developed?
It's a really interesting question, really. I'm taking my time about it because I think I've had so many reflective and good learning moments. I most certainly have changed in the sense that I like talking. I'm just going to say, because I talk a lot, and that's a personal challenge for me to kind of be a reflective listener. And I've learned a lot of that from Sasha, because I've said that before. And I think that's a real skill set, to kind of sit back and don't just jump in. I think actually in terms of leadership and being strategic, you need that kind of skill set, because you need to kind of be able to take on all opinions and come to a sensible view. And you can only do that if you're a good, reflective, active listener. So that's certainly been a change in how I sort of go about things. I always like jumping out there, saying my piece and being firm about it. So that's been a real good learning curve for me. I think that's a significant one. Also, I think I suppose I've slightly surprised myself in that I've kind of thrown myself into it, because at the beginning of the program, when it all became obvious, the magnitude of what I was letting myself into, there was a period where I suppose kind of pulled back a bit and said, wow, okay, this is a huge opportunity, but am I ready? But obviously, being around people who are ready, people who are, who were demonstrating that, this was the right thing to do, and who were really inspiring me on, I just threw myself into the mix, and that's not something I would ordinarily do. So I think those 2 points actually for me were ones which I always remember learning from Sasha in terms of being an active reflector. I'm not just saying because he's on the call, it's because it's true. And actually also, Sayma, you know how, you know what I think about your kind of impact on the ICS and your leadership across not just this agenda, but, the kind of system leadership and talent management stuff and OD and the stuff that you're working on. So, you can't sit around those type of people and say you haven't been influenced or changed or impacted. And that's actually testament to the program. That's what it's about. Being in that space of people who are talented, leadership skills, keen to move on. You learn and you suck it up, and you kind of work through that. So I think all of us, all 11 of us, bring something different to the table. And that's what diversity of talent means. It's not just about color. Of course, color is important. And we have an issue across the ICS and we are addressing it, but it goes beyond color. Diversity of thought, you get the best strategic decisions when you get people bring different things to the table. My team have different views on things, and I listen to all of them. I don't necessarily agree with all of them, but it makes my strategic decision that bit richer, because I've had a collective of views, which has enabled me to kind of look at things in a balanced way.
Gosh, John, there's nothing more beautiful than diversity of thought and opinion, isn't there? Being able to see things from others' perspective is only when that's the only time you can really truly meet people's needs. And you talk about learning from each other as well. That's a huge part in what we do, and I don't think we do enough of that. And for me personally, I think this program has really highlighted that, again, there's just so much talent. There's so much talent from ethnic minority backgrounds, and it's been hidden. And this program's really shining a spotlight on that talent, that it's here, it's right in front of your nose. And we just, we've got this talent in our system and provided them with an opportunity to develop is really, truly exciting for me. Sasha, what are your thoughts on that?
I think one of the things that I've learned about myself and how I think I've changed over the past 6-7 months has been, I think, when you go through work and you want work to have your name to it, I definitely was somebody who was very controlled and often use the term control freak about my work, and I want to have everything signed, dotted and seen and approved and before it goes anywhere. And I think the fellowship almost helped me step away from that and to actually not just about my own development, but even think about how I created space for others and supported that development. And so I've actually seen my whole team really flourish over the past 6 months in terms of their confidence and their ability and what it means to actually delegate effectively, to trust people, to share work and to share ideas. And those are things that I feel like I've taken into a team where I've seen all of us grow then over the past 6 months in just an amazing way. And I feel so proud of the people that I work with and the team that I work with, because they're doing some really challenging work, but actually really coming through that by having kindness, compassion, understanding for each other. But that actually really translates into their work as well. So I think there's that element of learning to let go, because you want to being in a, I think to me previously, but being in a position of power meant you knew everything and you did everything. And what I've learned over the past 6 months is how shared responsibility and shared power is actually much more powerful, and really building that up from your team.
Absolutely spot on. And I don't know if you remember, right at the launch of the fellowship, I think Clive Spencer from the Leadership Academy came and talked to us about surfing the edge of chaos, didn't he? Because it is about some of that personal development has come from us, like you say, letting go and saying, actually, it's okay to let go some things if you want to keep developing and shifting some of that personal power that you have and giving it away to others. Doesn't mean it takes it completely away from you, but you are sharing that, and it's that connective sort of partnership working too.
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? A podcast from the West Yorkshire and Harrogate Health and Care Partnership.
Hello. Can you hear me?
So leading on from that discussion, how do you think the program's helped other people? Because we know the journey we personally have been on, and we've just shared our personal growth in the last sort of year. How do you think we're helping others?
We must kind of get to the end of this program where people look at it and go, wow, I want to do that. And actually there are amongst like 100,000 kind of employees across the ICF. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of people who want to develop, who this would be an excellent program for. And yes, it's a competitive process, but I would hope that we will be part of the movement, if you like, to inspire people to take up learning, at whatever level, take up learning, take up development, take up leadership to the highest and most senior levels, because people have, we have those talented people, as you said before with now ICF, they just need an opportunity. They need the door to be opened. They need to be given the platform, the stage to perform, to demonstrate what they can do. So I think we have as cohort one, we almost have a responsibility, don't we, as part of that, to reach back and pull people up and make sure they understand that this is doable.
So right, because when I think about my own personal values, sort of lifting as I climb is one that really comes to the fore for me, because it's, of course, we all have our own personal desire, development desires, ambitions, dreams, but it's about how we give back as well, and what we learn, we then share with others. So that opportunity to be able to do this through this program is amazing, isn't it? Sasha, what are your thoughts on this?
So just as John was saying, that as cohort 1, we're learning, we're reflecting on what the course is delivering, and I think immediately we've made some changes to how the course is delivered and how the course will be delivered. And a particular challenge that came up probably just a few as cohort 2 are being recruited was about what their entry requirements were. And I think we were able to actually really reflect on our own experiences of what those challenges are throughout careers to really shape what that exclusion-inclusion criteria was, and to really think about and actually remove any exclusion criteria. Think about, if people want to come forward, let them come forward. And yes, there's a competitive element to this, but let's not put in any barriers that unnecessarily need to be there. Let's really keep that door open for people to come forward and to speak up about their experiences. And as I said earlier on in the call, when I read some of the applications that I've seen from people who I've really encouraged to apply, and I've encouraged people not just from within my organisation, but within our voluntary community sector, because I really want to see that breadth of experience that we have across our system come through. And when you read some of those applications and some of the challenges people have had throughout their careers, and while the learning opportunities are there, which is again what John was saying, the experiential opportunities aren't always there, and that's what this program really is providing is providing that placement opportunity, that opportunity to really shine and show the skills that you've developed over a period of time. And I think that's in the way that we've really helped to open up and shape that process is really good. And I think the circle that we talked about earlier, how that's helped us and helped others around us, like I said, it's helped my team, and my team is a diverse team of people. It's I think by being more conscious leaders and compassionate leaders, I think that's helping our system as a whole. But there is something about how we act in the spaces that we find ourselves, how we use that impact and influence, that really is really shaping a different way for our system. And that feels so exciting that actually it does feel like we've got a different future ahead of our system than probably what we've seen and known of in the past.
It is so exciting. I mentioned before, if you stop and reflect on how far we've come as a partnership, and you sort of, and I'm talking about the whole partnership, not just at the West Yorkshire and Harrogate sort of level across our places. Our voice as a, ethnic minority group is being heard in the highest governance forum in our partnership. We're advocating on behalf of others. Our voices, our opinions, our challenges are being heard in those forums, which is amazing if you actually think about it, how connected our system is becoming. And we talk a lot about compassionate leadership and cultures and values and behaviours. We can really role model some of this behaviour because we are leading the way. We didn't win the HSG award for no reason. We are absolutely leading the way in some of this, and it is a privileged position to be in, to be part of that and think actually what a legacy we can leave behind for others as well. Did you want to come in?
Yeah, no, I was going to say I completely agree, Sayma, that we are making some inroads, and actually also to be grateful to, because there are leaders ahead of us upon whose shoulders we stand. And I remember I'll mention people's names, and if they're embarrassed, they're embarrassed. And people like Fatima, which I've talked about Fatima Shah Khan to the cows come home, because I look to her as a real leader, not only on this sort of issue of diverse leadership, but she's a really strong woman. So she cuts across, all the kind of challenging areas across leadership, whether that's being a woman, whether that's being, from an ethnic minority. And she's leading one of the biggest programs in the ICS in unpaid carers. So you look to that and you go, wow, I want to be like Fatima. So, as you say, we're making inroads, and I know we're probably going to talk about whether we're there yet. We're not there yet. It's quite a bit of work to do, but certainly where we are now is a good place in my view.
We've talked a lot about, what opportunities have come our way, what how we've personally developed, and how, hopeful we do feel for the future. But has it been without challenge? Sasha?
I think the challenge, for me, part of that challenge has been about letting go and working that out with an organisation where you feel so committed to the work that you're delivering, and then to step away from some of that while you're doing something different. I think that's been a challenge, but it's not a challenge that's not been able to overcome, because again, I think the fellowship circle has really helped develop the skills, the tools that I needed to help overcome some of that. So being able to share the challenge in that space has meant I've come up with solutions and had different types of solutions to use. I think the other challenge is probably a personal one. I think at the beginning I actually really struggled with kind of the whole concept of a separate BAME fellowship, and actually thinking about my own leadership journey and how I've persevered in that leadership journey, and should that be any different to any of my other colleagues, and actually even sometimes overcoming that challenge and understanding why we probably do need that difference, and why we need a breadth of opportunities for all our workforce. I think this has demonstrated why you need that there can't be a single approach to our workforce development, our workforce progression. We need lots of different opportunities throughout our workforce, and not just a fellowship and then the other offers. I think there probably needs to be a whole breadth of development that leads on from this. And then I think the other challenge has been about, I think what I found, and I think I mentioned this earlier, I found challenging that when I looked around the room and saw the level of skill, talent and expertise that probably hadn't progressed, I found that quite challenging, and I think that should be a challenge for our leaders to think about why that pool of talent is there, but not having progressed into those senior leadership teams. And I find that personally really challenging to see that, and it can get negative sometimes to see that. So I think, again, the network's been positive to help move out of that negative space, but I do find that challenging that we've got a level of skill, expertise and knowledge in our system that isn't being used to the best of the system. And again, when we come back to those 10 ambitions, we have the tools to deliver on those 10 ambitions if we really think broadly and diversely about what we've got to deliver on that.
Great points, Sasha. Fully agree with what you're saying. John, did you want to come in on this one?
Yeah, no, I think Sasha makes a really important point about, because the colleagues asking themselves, well, why a BAME fellowship? Why a BAME fellowship? Why is it that, the ICS has taken upon itself to make this a central key ambition within the Big 10 ambition, and put some effort and investment into the issue? Because it is an issue. It's we can't shy away from it. It is an issue. That's why the ICS is making sure there's investment and work on developing senior leaders from every background with skill and talent. That's not to say there aren't others with skill and talent, but we have a specific issue and it's a known issue. We've done the work on that and we've identified it's an issue. And collectively as an ICS, we're saying, we'll be a much improved place in terms of our strategic direction if we recognize and deal with this issue. So I've kind of, carried that cross and dealt with it because, sometimes you can't sit back and go, well, if it's a bit uncomfortable, life is about meritocracy. We all believe in that, the best man for the best job. That doesn't change. But what this is saying is, we have an issue. It is embedded, it is deep. It's not just our ICS. This issue exists in lots of other big institutions, across the world. And I think, we should be, the ICS should be applauded for making a bold move and saying we are going to do something about it. From a practical challenge point of view, I think I won't pretend and lie that this is not hard work. It is hard work. Yeah, and there's nothing, you don't sort of, get good things if you don't work at it. So the first 6 months, I'm doing 2 senior roles, one at Leeds City Council, running the reopening program on the back of the pandemic. That's a big job. And at the same time, I'm acting assistant director for improving population health, delivering on health inequalities and constitutions and working with, the command authority, that has work in it. And you're balancing those two big roles for 6 months. And then eventually, obviously, you get your 6-month placement where you're seconded full time. So, it is not easy. It is a challenge. But so what? We have the talent, we have the skills, and we're here to deliver. That's why we're doing this program. And it's only 12 months, And at the end of the 12 months, I think we'll probably come to that again about what happens beyond that, what our views are, and whether we actually make an impact after 12 months. But my sense is, you've got 12 months. You've got 12 months to make this work. And the bigger the challenge that you can tackle and take on within your skill set in the ICS, the better, because, we have the skills to kind of, make the ICS a better place.
Thank you so much for this conversation. But I'm privileged to share this time with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Sayma.
Thanks,
Thank
Sayma.
you. Thanks, Sayma.
Hear me now. You've been listening to a podcast from the West Yorkshire and Harrogate Health and Care Partnerships Race Equality Network. Thanks to our guests on this episode, Ash, John and Sasha, and thank you for listening. Join us again next time when we'll be joined by more of the diverse talent working to improve health and care for people in West Yorkshire and Harrogate.